Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're listening to this audio, welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am MartineFelton, and this is Martine's Musings podcast. So today I am going to be talking about my personal experiences, my latest book, the contents of that book, and we're going to be discussing specifically recovering from narcissistic relationships. If you're not familiar with my book, it is titled You Love, You Learn, and it's that book right there at the top, and I have it here with me as well. It is a teaching memoir where I talk about my various toxic relationships from the past. Now, presently, I am happily married, but were relationships that I journeyed through that really left a mark on me, and really helped me become the person that I am today. So I don't really touch upon every toxic relationship, because when you're in your 20s, you go through a lot of relationships, let's face it, and dating and things like that. But these were pretty significant. One was a marriage, as I'm in my second marriage right now. So, yeah, let's just dive into it. And I previously released this book in 2021 of February. So we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of me releasing it. And specifically, what I wanted to discuss today is the empath and narcissistic relationship and the the whole back and forth, the dynamic of the empath and the narcissist relationship. So, the word empath is comes from the word having, empathy. So, an empath is a person who has the ability to understand and empathize with experiences of others. An empath can literally, a real empath, and I know that a lot of people out there think that they're empaths, because they have a high level of empathy, but there's a difference. An empath is one who literally soaks up other people's energy. And by that, I mean they take on other people's experiences, other people's feelings as their own, and not even knowing it, and not even understanding why their mood suddenly shifted, or why all of a sudden 1 minute they were happy and they were fine, and then they walked into a supermarket and interacted with the cashier or the produce guy who was in a bad mood, and all of a sudden they're walking out the supermarket in a horrible mood. And probably that person is feeling better is because they empathize, they literally soak up what that person is feeling and kind of relieve them of their pain and turmoil and trauma, whatever is going on. It's a very real thing. Some people don't really believe it's as deep as we say it is, but it's very real. I identify as an empath. And back when I was having these experiences in my book, I was unaware. But now I am aware, and I can kind of control and set energetic boundaries with people and not allow that to happen to me like it used to happen to me when I was in my 20s and in my 30s. It's because I didn't know. Okay, so also an empath is highly attuned to energy and emotions of others, like I said, and they literally feel more empathy than the average person. The average normal person feels empathy for someone if they see someone going through something traumatic or stressful, or if you're someone who watches the news a lot, you automatically empathize with what's going on the news. But that empath, again, really soaks it in, really takes it in into their energy and literally experiences what the energy is for for that person or that situation. Now, going over to the narcissist, excuse me, going over to a narcissists are extremely self-involved people, to the point that they ignore the needs of others, of those people that are around them. They present themselves as these confident, larger than life personalities that nothing shakes them. And you look at them and you're like, hey, this guy is, or this girl, they're cool, they're confident. I like their energy. I want to be around them. But really what it is that is a mask for what's really deeply in there, is that they are really deeply insecure, deeply. And so the empath and the narcissist are attracted to each other because the empath sees who they want to be in that narcissist, seemingly. Because, empaths tend to be a little bit more introverted, and things of that nature. So they meet a narcissist who's jovial, who's larger than life, who's seemingly confident. They're like, hey, I want to be like this person. I like them. They're very likable on the surface. And so that attracts them. And what attracts the narcissist to the empath is pretty much the same thing, is seeing in that empath what they want to be deep down inside, because deep down inside they know that they're not in tune with people, that they know that they're not empathetic. They know that they they're completely opposite to that. And so that's what, because they're so completely opposite, deeply they attract to each other. The empath sees that this person also needs healing. Like they feel like I can add value, or I can help this person. I can, because a real empath wants to help people, wants to shine their light, wants to bring healing to certain people in certain situations. So when they see that, they see this larger than life and confident person, they want to be able to participate in that energy. Empaths may be shy and insecure in a more inward way, but the narcissist is insecure and expresses that in a more on the outer, on outward, if that is a word. But they show their insecurity manifest through them being overbearing and controlling and manipulative, and having no regard or no empathy for people or situations. So, like I was saying, narcissists have a complete, like a huge lack of empathy. And when they're in the crux of the relationship, the empath and the narcissist, when the empath realizes that, hey, this person is not who I thought they were, because it's little by little that the narcissist will really reveal themselves to you, and you'll see that larger than life, that confidence, that bravado that is on the surface isn't really what is really going on. And the empath cannot wrap their head around, how are you this way, and then turn around and be this way, So there's that attachment. There's always that push and pull. And it's a real cycle of abuse. It's a real cycle of emotional abuse that you have to work through and work on getting yourself out of if you find yourself in that type of dynamic. Narcissists have a tendency to put you on a pedestal. When one of the relationships that I was in was, and we're talking about my marriage, he used to always put me on a pedestal and say that I was the best wife, I was such a great mom, and I was the best, 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 right? So the minute, and then an hour later, after me feeling great and me being put on this pedestal, I'm like, oh, okay, things are going well. That's so sweet. And you kind of get sucked into that, because you're looking, as a woman in general, okay, you're looking for that approval, for that acknowledgement from your partner. When your partner compliments you on something that you do or something that you did that makes them happy, of course, you're like, yeah, you're on high. Um, and then to have that pedestal kicked out from under you, over nothing, over nonsense, over things that are not even true, is traumatizing. And especially if it just keeps happening over and over again on a regular basis, literally on a daily basis. And when that it's a vicious cycle. So you start legitimately questioning yourself, and you start thinking that you're the crazy one, or that you're unstable, or there's something wrong with you, when in turn you're on this emotional manipulative roller coaster, and you're being manipulated by this like emotional vampire, if you will. So great wife one minute, horrible person the next minute. And and that's the thing with narcissists. There's an indirect manipulation. They'll never directly ask you for things. They'll just manipulate situations and manipulate other people too, in thinking, that they are, this great person, this really jovial, stand up kind of guy. And so, or girl, I don't want to make it one sided here because there are plenty of narcissistic women out there as well. So the indirect manipulation is something that you have to watch out for. They'll manipulate situations and other people, and they'll never directly ask you for something that they want from you. But you have to be in tune. You have to know that you are being manipulated. And usually you won't, because you're in a relationship with this person. They've gained your trust and your love. So it takes a while for you to realize that you are being indirectly manipulated. Breaking up with a narcissist. Okay. This was a doozy. I have experienced two major relationships in my life were with narcissistic men. And the breakups were very, very similar. From the first one, I learned how to break up. Well, the first one, I had broken up with this person about 4 times and kept going back because I wasn't learning my lesson. And that's part of the, you love, you learn, you love, you go through these relationships and they are meant to teach you lessons, people. So, and if you keep going back to the same toxic situation, you're only going to find yourself prolonging that lesson. And it's like, and even if you move on to another person, it's like you were dating the same man. Because I felt like I was dating or with the same man for like over a decade because I kept dating the same type of person and I wasn't learning my lesson of self-worth, of putting myself first, of saying yes to me and no to bullshit. So, breaking up with an arc. Let's just call them arcs right now. You just got to do it. Listen, make a plan, all right? And you have to execute that plan. For me, I knew that my breakups with these men would not go smoothly just based on the history. Like I said, the first narcissistic relationship I was in, I had broken up with this person a few times and went back, broke up, went back, broke up, went back. And so I knew that once this final time that I was breaking up with him, that I had to have my ducks in a row and I had to have a plan. And I remember my mom telling me, giving me some advice. And she told me, she was like, listen, you can't keep going back and forth, breaking up with someone and then going back, especially if they're not they're not changing. You already know what you're going back into. So why do you keep going back? It's not going to change. And I remember her telling me, she was like, when you break up with someone, that should be it. It's final. Okay. Don't keep going back because you keep giving this person more ammunition against you, more rage, because then you're going to end up breaking up with this person again because you know deep in your heart you don't want to be with this person. So stop the back and forth. And I really took that in and realized how right she was, So especially with a narcissist, breaking up with a narcissist, you have to do it, and then you have to cut all ties. And I know that may not be easy for people that have children in play, and bonds. Empath and narcissists tend to have trauma bonds, and that's what attracts you to, is that trauma, a similar story. But you really need to cut them off and stop all contact, because what happens is they want to engage. They want to get back up in here. Okay. And the minute that you start engaging with them, they're back. they're back in. All right. And they will try to apologize. It's like they'll go on their little apology tour and reel you back in, draw you out. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's all to get back into your good graces. And but it will fall apart again. The good graces period will not last long, and you'll find yourself right back with the old narcissistic asshole that you left. So do not engage. All right. No contact. Do not engage. Ignore all calls, texts. The minute you engage, they think that you're letting them back in, literally. And, empower yourself, really empower yourself with this knowledge, and know that you can move on from this relationship, from any relationship, any toxic relationship, you can move on from. You are not stuck there. All right. A perfect example, and something that's happening right now in pop culture, celebrities, is Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, right? We all know the huge egomaniac that Kanye West is. And to some degree, Kim Kardashian is an egomaniac as well. However, the difference between the two right now is that he is putting everything out publicly in social media to draw her out. And that's the example I'm using. He is trying to engage. He wants her to engage. And she's like, can you please communicate through attorneys? Because she posted that. Because we're going through this divorce and you keep putting things out in the public, just go through your attorney and our attorneys can communicate everything. So, but he won't stop doing that. He keeps making these posts, these outcries, this victim mentality, like this victim based posts, to make everyone think that he is being victimized, when all it's a manipulation to draw Kim out and engage with her. Now, so that's the example I wanted to use. I'm not going to get all deep into their relationship and what I think about their relationship, but he is a prime example of when you're breaking up with a narcissist, you do not engage with them. You cut all ties, you go, whatever loose ends, whatever bonds that you have, children, money, property, business, you are going to have to handle that on like the legal side, or lawyers or cops or whatever. Like, no engagement with them, okay, until they get the point. And it takes them a while, okay? Don't fold, because all they want to do is engage to satisfy what? Their ego. Okay, that when you're breaking up with a narcissist, it's really important for you to nurture yourself and to build yourself back up as an empath. I know for me, when I broke up in the first narcissistic relationship that I was in, it took me a while to really get over. I didn't realize, even at that point, I didn't know what a narcissist was. I just used to call him an emotional vampire. And because I just felt so sucked dry emotionally, there was nothing that I could do that would satisfy this person. This person was overbearing, alienated me from my friends and my family, and caused friction between me and my friends. And it was looking back at it, it was a fucking nightmare. Um, but I know that those were the lessons that I needed to learn. I needed to learn that I come first. I am important. I am worth a lot and I deserve more. And that's what is really the premise of my book, is that we as women really need, and this is not bashing men or anything like that, but when we find ourselves in toxic relationships, and we need to try to understand what brought me here. You know what I mean? Why did I end up in this relationship, in this type of relationship, in this dynamic? For a lot of people, and for me personally, it was the need for validation. It was looking for love in all the wrong places. And it was daddy issues, mommy issues. I wanted the fact that I had low self-esteem and I wasn't as confident as I should have been. Like on the outside, people thought that I was this really, strong and powerful feminine energy of confidence and creativity and all of this. But I was from time to time, but mostly I wasn't. I was really insecure and really focused on finding someone and kind of being in a relationship and hiding there. That was my thing. Like I'm a relationship person back then. Like that was my thing. I wanted to be in a relationship. I didn't have that many, like I wanted to work and finish my college education and be in a relationship. Those were my goals. I didn't have goals of being a podcast host, being an intuitive, writing books or any. I didn't even see that far ahead. So, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to hide in my relationship because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And when you don't have any direction in what you want to do with yourself and how you see yourself in your life, you kind of get scattered and you fall for anything. If you don't, what's that saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Well, I didn't stand for anything back then. So I fell for anything, any type of attention that I would get from guys. I would fall for it. And I would, all of a sudden be in a quote unquote relationship with someone. And sometimes that person wasn't in a relationship with me. So, anyway, so you have to think about what got you to that place, that dynamic. And like I said, for me, it was lack of self-love and lack in needing validation. Also, think about how many times are you saying yes to people when you should be saying no? I look at those past relationships I and I'm like, did I even really love that person? Because it was always, there were good times, don't get me wrong. But it's like, because I didn't love myself, how could I have possibly loved him? And I feel like that I didn't, like, because I hung on to the relationships because I didn't have any other aspirations for myself. And I was always saying yes. And I was always doing the most. And I was always doing, and I kind of inserted myself into their lives. You know what I mean? Saying yes all the time, giving of myself and of my time and of my body to just to be with somebody, and because I didn't have anything else going on, basically. And as an empath in that narcissistic dynamic, it was very draining. And what one thing that I remember is that wanting always to keep them happy, because I was soaking up their energy, and I knew that if I kept them happy, then I would feel happy. And let me tell you, I was unaware of the empath narcissist dynamic, never heard of those words, okay, at all back then. But what I did know was that somehow, if I did, or if I moved the way they wanted me to move, or I did things the way they wanted things done, it kept them, happy, which kept me happy, energetically, quote unquote. So that was me. I realized that that was me taking on their emotions and kind of taking on their mood, and I didn't realize that was what was happening. Breaking up with a narcissist. Let's recap that. You set your boundaries, okay? Say no a little bit more, and set those boundaries. And what's really, really important is understanding what got you into this dynamic in the first place. Understanding where and what parts of you need healing, what, in order to heal that part of you so that you can build yourself up and remove yourself from that dynamic. And really also understanding that you're not getting anything out of a relationship with a narcissist. You're really not. They're getting everything. They are the takers, and the empath is the giver. And there's going to be a point where you feel sucked dry, literally, like you have nothing left. And you're getting nothing out of it at the end of the day. The one thing I can say, that you're getting out of it is that lesson. Okay. Is that learning. Okay. You love, you learn. Is that lesson that you need to learn of self-love and self-worth. You're gaining emotional intelligence of yourself and of others. You're learning a lot more of yourself and how to navigate through relationships from that point forward. Once you leave that relationship, you now know, if you've learned your lesson, you now know that you need to put yourself first and say no more than you say yes. So, some healing practices that I did in the past, moving through those relationships, and I still do, even though I'm no longer in those relationships. I'm in a happy marriage right now. I still do some of these practices because they apply to life in general. It's not just, the narcissist empath dynamic. So, journaling. I love to journal, and that is how I actually wrote my book. This book is made up of journal entries. All right. And I expanded on them. So journaling, affirmations, which you will find in here as well. Art expression, painting, drawing, poetry, whatever the case may be. express yourself creatively. That really, really helps. And also shadow work, doing inner healing, meditation, Reiki, sound healing, anything in the healing arts that you resonate with can really help you through your healing journey and really getting yourself more centered and really just getting you to love on yourself much more than you've been. Okay. And if you share a similar experience, share them in the comments. And if you've read my book, please share your feedback. I would love to hear it. I'm thinking about a re-release and adding more to the book, more content to the book, and maybe adding a few more relationships that I didn't add before, or just adding a lot more healing practices. So I'm kind of toying with that as well. All right. But if you read the book and you want to give me some feedback, I would love to hear that. Leave that in the comments, or you can email me at martinefelton.com. Yeah. So there's my email right there. If you would like to share some feedback on the book, please feel free to email me. I would love to know what readers thought about the book, because I am thinking about doing a re release and adding more. Also, don't forget to please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow me on your major podcasting platforms where Martine's Musings podcast stream. And if you haven't read my book, here is the book cover. It is available on my website, martinefelton.com, as well as Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and a whole bunch of other online retailers. You can also buy ebooks as well. And yeah, so that is all. And I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope that this information was able to support you in what you needed. Thank you again for listening and watching. I will see you guys soon. Take care.